So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. Grindr has lost nearly half its staff after forcing a return to office. That's what we're going to be talking about today. The report really comes out of the Communication Workers of America, which are the ones that are unionizing the Grindr staff. On July 20th, the Communication Workers of America unionized the staff with a supermajority of the workers at Grindr, there were about 100 eligible workers that signed union representation cards across engineering, IT, marketing, product, and quality assurance about 2 months ago. Right, when they unionized, they were looking for trans-inclusive healthcare, generous PTO, and continuing their remote work. Of course, they were also looking for additional benefits, including gift matching, professional development budget, and cost of living pay increases that match annual inflation. Shortly thereafter, the intention to unionize in July, Grindr sent its workers a return to office plan in August 3rd. The company asked them to pledge in the following week that they'll report to their assigned offices and show up 2 days a week or leave the company. Grindr is much smaller than I actually thought it was. They only have about 180 total people, 180 staff. So it's quite small, but it did come 2 weeks after the employees filed a petition to unionize. And of course, an unfair labor practice charge was filed with the National Labor Relations Board. They seem to have a case here. I mean, examples of employer that conduct that violates the law under the National Labor Relations Act is threatening employees with loss of jobs or benefits if they join or vote for a union, threatening to close the plant if employees select a union to represent them, promising benefits to employees to discourage their union support, transferring, laying off, terminating, assigning employees more difficult work tasks, or otherwise punishing employees because they engaged in union or protected concerted activity. Now, Grindr did offer up to $15,000 to cover relocation expenses for those that had to move in order to come into the office, and 6 month severance pay for those who decided to leave or not report to their office. Matt Bodie, who's a professor at the University of Minnesota Law School, said what Grindr will say is that it reached this completely independent of any actions by the employees to organize. The one thing that the union has in its favor is that the timing does look suspicious, and that's probably the biggest thing that you have to understand is that the timing does look suspicious. This was at least announced shortly after unionizing, although they allegedly had this in place for many months now. Under the new return to office plan, many of the U.S. employees who are hired remotely will have to report 2 days a week to the offices where their teams are. Engineers will be in Chicago, marketing team in Los Angeles, and the product management and design teams also in Los Angeles and the Bay Area. Some people haven't even been assigned to the office. They seem to me to be a move to reduce staff, but in this case, it could be to push out the union. And of course, that's what the Communications Workers of America has said. But in general, in my opinion, these return to office movements seem to be at least partially focused on doing layoffs without actually doing a layoff. People don't want to come in. People will resign instead of having to pay severance. And that's going to be a trend, I think, in the next 6 months, if not a year, for remote workers to be pushed out of their jobs by being told to return to work. It's not currently illegal in any regards in the United States. This is, however, going to be a massive push, I think, as companies continue to cut employees, cut workers, and doing so in a way that frankly limits their liability and limits the expenses that come from massive layoffs. Because these remote workers are not in the office, it becomes quite easy to simply cut off their electricity, cut off their access, and then let them know that they've been laid off. It's frankly much, from a personal and emotional standpoint, much easier than having to meet with someone or meet with a whole group of people, let them know that they're laying off. And so that's why I expect that remote workers will continue to be the first to go, and that things will get much more difficult from a remote worker standpoint. I don't think I've seen a lot of speculation with respect to commercial business and commercial real estate. I don't think it's really that. I think that these companies have to shed people, and ultimately those people will first be the remote workers. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I think that this is an interesting conundrum that we're now in the post-pandemic. Let me know, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.